You know why we didn't do a better job of promoting the WNBA? Because the numbers, the eyeballs, the interest, the sizzle, the headlines were not there.
Hey everyone, in this video, I talk about the top reasons why I think women's sports will never be as successful as men's sports. Some of these reasons are ingrained in female nature, but most are because of our current social climate, where some women athletes and those involved in women's sports have both an attitude of being victims and entitlement. Can women's sports be much more successful? Yes, of course. That's one of my goals as an athlete. But it will require change and a rethinking in our approach, which I'll highlight in the points below. Let's get into it. Superstars can't exist. This point is made very clear when we compare videos of women versus men discussing if Caitlin Clark should be part of Team USA basketball for the 2024 Paris Olympics.
I think a lot of people are not thinking about the idea that, are we setting Caitlin Clark up for success? Because what you want to see probably will not happen. She is on a roster full of players that she has not played with, up against competition who, as Andrea has said, has been playing together for years in a game that is 10 times as physical. And overall, the competition is very different. And even the ball is different. Does anyone care about setting her up for success?
I know you all want to grow this game so quickly, but I don't know how dollars from TV deals watching the Olympics translates from dollars from TV deals watching the WNBA. We're going to continue to grow the game and the W as people tune in to watch Caitlin in the W. And her rest and the potential dynamo finish to the season that she could have could grow the game more on the back end than anything else.
You know why we didn't do a better job of promoting the WNBA? Because the numbers, the eyeballs, the interest, the sizzle, the headlines were not there. No one cared. The public didn't care. And so now you have somebody, that has the world caring, and you say to her, well, you know what? We want to make purely basketball decisions. It's the right thing to do, and we got to be worried about how other people are going to feel. But you're still complaining about the max salary being $250,000. You're still complaining about the absence of eyeballs. You're still complaining about the lack of headlines and notoriety and pub and cachet. You're complaining about all of these things. And the one person who has proven they can alleviate that concern, that could ultimately serve to benefit the better whole, now we want to sit up there and get all altruistic and stuff and talking about, hey, it's about the sanctity of the game and the level of competition. You're going to win by 30 without her, just like you'd win by 30 with her. It don't make a difference. You make the call because of the betterment of the whole in the end. That is not compromising your integrity. That is business, and y'all are going to find that out.
The difference in mentality in these two videos is insane. The men are promoting her as an incredible asset to the team, highlighting all her capabilities and qualities, while the women are highlighting all her limitations and the reasons why she shouldn't be on the team. You can't deny the facts. Caitlin Clark is incredibly talented. She's one of the top point scorers in the WNBA. She's exciting to watch. She brings out the fans and thus brings in the money, and will be a superstar one day if she continues to play the way she does. Despite all of this, other WNBA players and even some of her teammates are against her. On the men's side, if there's a superstar on the team, they will want to promote them and learn from them. A high tide raises all boats, because even if they're a bench warmer, they will still benefit from the success of their team. This negative attitude is not only present in women's sports, but also in many other competitive fields, where women pull each other down. We have this socialist mentality. Some call it the crab bucket effect, where women will chop off the head of anyone who excels and try to manipulate situations to bring them back down to their level. They can't stand someone being more successful, gaining more attention, or receiving a higher compensation. We often perceive men as being more competitive, but I truly believe behind the scenes, women are more competitive in the most cutthroat and manipulative of ways. To be clear, I'm not talking about every single woman. I've had many incredible, kind, and supportive teammates throughout my athletic career, who to this day are like family. But this negative attitude is common, and it doesn't help women in general succeed nor reach their fullest potential. Women do not use their greatest asset. Sex sells. You see this throughout time and across industries. Some women athletes might perceive it as degrading, and that they need to stand on some higher moral ground, that they need to let their work speak for itself. But the reality is, the highest paid male athletes and greatest superstars of all time have used sex appeal to bolster their name, their image, their income, their fame, their audience, and have become icons of the sport. They know how to sell tickets, and they know what the audience wants. And when they deliver, it pays off, literally. I was at an F1 event a while back, and you would think a motorsport would have an overwhelmingly male audience, but that was not the case. It was about equal. They had these huge posters of all the drivers around the track. And I can tell you, almost everyone I saw taking photos and selfies with those posters were women and young girls. F1 markets its sex appeal so well. I mean, it's not hard. What woman doesn't like a good-looking guy driving a fast car? But it's done tastefully. They're not ripping off their shirt or dancing on the track. Some women athletes have used their sex appeal to become overnight successes, drawing more crowds, more media interest, and bigger brand deals. For example, Anna Kournikova never won a singles title, but she became tennis's biggest draw in the early 2000s after her Maxim cover, which coincided with peak Google searches. Another tennis star, Maria Sharapova, owned her sex appeal and flipped the script from objectification to empowerment, netting her over $300 million in endorsements, more than most male athletes. Figure skater Katrina Witt's 1998 Playboy spread didn't tank her cred. It made her a global icon, boosting skating's profile. The UFC's Ronda Rousey boosted her pay-per-view numbers after her Sports Illustrated shoot in 2016. And Paige Spiranak, who was a professional golf player, but is more famous and richer now as a golf influencer and model, and probably makes more than 99% of women athletes because she embraces her sex appeal. It's not degrading or shameful to know what your audience wants, to use your greatest weapon. Sex appeal is an attention gateway. If it gets people's butts in seats and eyes on the screen, talent can seal the deal. Again, I'm not saying to play beach volleyball or tennis or soccer or any sport naked. F1 drivers don't show any skin for safety reasons, and you can barely see them while they drive. The point is, it's not the amount of skin that you show, but your presence, demeanor, and character that generates the appeal and desire. Stop talking about the pay gap. Mainstream media, and I'm talking about mostly women in mainstream media, use the pay gap as one of the main reasons why women's sports is not as successful as the men. It's such a crutch for the media to paint women as the victims. It's not true. It's just based on metrics. We need to remember, sports is a business. It needs to be profitable to operate. You can't just pay players more money believing it will cause more people to watch. It doesn't work like that. You need to generate interest, excitement, and hype to give people reason to watch. This goes back to my first point, where women have this socialist mentality that everyone needs to be equal, including their pay, without meeting the financial prerequisites to substantiate these demands. But even men's sports have a pay gap. The best players on the team are getting paid way more than the rookies. Pay or play is based on skills, team outcome, and your value to the team's success. This will judge your worth. And rarely is it mentioned that in some sports, the pay gap is a myth. For example, in tennis, swimming, and alpine ski racing, the prize money at major championships and World Cup events have been equal for years. Where revenues align, pay often does too. This is just a theory because we all know how evil mainstream media can be in deceiving people, but maybe they don't want to highlight the real issues because they don't want to fix the problems. They don't want women to be successful, but rather keep them as victims because that sells the news. A bad day is a good day for media, and these issues get a lot of eyeballs. It's a gaslighting loop confirming women's biases. And again, it's women holding other women back. Interest comes from hype, controversy, and drama. If you continuously generate interest, you will create a loyal fan base who will have a reason to continuously watch. Some of the most profitable sports in the world do this very well, like F1, tennis, football, soccer, and the UFC. For one, they spend more time in front of the camera off the field than during competition, which gives the machine, reporters, bloggers, podcasters, fans, things to talk about and hype the upcoming game. They also put on additional events like the Ryder Cup in golf or the NBA All-Star Weekend or the MLB Home Run Derby, which help generate additional interest for the sport. These are just some examples of how sports continuously generate excitement for the game. And very few women's sports try to put on these types of events or try to market themselves in these ways. It doesn't take much. The UFC has a whole YouTube channel with videos following fighters throughout their training camp to promote the upcoming fight. It doesn't have to be a huge Netflix-style production, just a guy with a camera or a woman with a camera. The point is, women's sports needs to be more creative, and find ways to continuously generate interest to bring in more and a greater diversity of fans to the sport. As women athletes, we need to encourage each other's successes, promote ourselves better, and make things more exciting, and stop blaming others for our own limitations. If some of the points highlighted above can be implemented, I truly believe women's sports can be way more successful, and encourage future generations of female athletes to participate and compete in women's sports. That's it for me. If you like the work that I do, please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm get it out to more people. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.